Breaking news tonight, the U.S. strikes back, hitting Iran after a U.S. military helicopter was down. The fierce retaliation and our new reporting on how those two American pilots were rescued from the dark waters in an unmanned drone boat that saved the crew. Guilty of murder, tensions boiling over in the verdict of that deadly track meet trial. A jury finding 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony guilty of fatally stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Violent flash floods overtaking this truck, the driver thrown from the window, a giant tank spewing propane as it's washed away. Terrifying video of a shark attack, a man screaming for help as he fights for his life in Florida, plus the fisherman hooking a great white. The critical vote today, the Democratic Senate candidate battling multiple scandals. Can his campaign survive to the general election? Our series, The Cost of Denial, and why one family says they had to go $1 million into debt to save their child's life. Sunscreen game changer, the FDA approving a new kind for the first time in 20 years. Fugitive alligator attack, body cam video capturing a man trying to evade police and running right into a gator. Urgent Jeep recall, the more than 1 million cars at risk of catching fire. Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Llamas.
And good evening. We begin tonight with the U.S. striking back at Iran, launching what they're calling self-defense strikes in response to Iran downing a U.S. Army chopper on Monday. The details of the strike still coming into our newsroom, with CENTCOM calling them a proportional response to Iranian aggression. And we have new reporting tonight on the unprecedented rescue mission of those two American helicopter pilots in the Gulf of Oman and the new technology that saved them. The crew wasn't rescued by their fellow service members, but by an unmanned drone boat like the ones you're seeing here, in a first for American forces. It found them, they climbed on board, and were taken to safety. But there are new questions tonight on whether these new strikes will threaten the already shaky ceasefire. Courtney Kuby covers the Pentagon for us, and she leads us off.
Tonight, the U.S. striking back, launching what CENTCOM calls self-defense strikes and a proportional response to unjustified Iranian aggression. After President Trump said the Iranian regime shot down a U.S. Army Apache helicopter in the middle of a ceasefire. Posting, there were two pilots involved. Both are safe and uninjured. Nevertheless, the United States must, of necessity, respond to this attack. The two-seater helicopter was flying near the coast of Oman in the middle of the night, patrolling to prevent Iranian attacks on commercial ships, when a U.S. official tells NBC News the Apache was hit by an Iranian drone crashing into the Strait of Hormuz. The crew survived the impact, floating alone in the dark waters until that remarkable rescue, the first of its kind, by an unmanned U.S. Navy military boat like this one. A U.S. official saying both soldiers are receiving medical attention, but their injuries are not life-threatening. We recently had an exclusive look at the Bahrain-based U.S. Navy unit operating these drone boats, using artificial intelligence to give the U.S. an advantage in these waters.
But now, with systems like these, they can maintain their presence here at sea.
President Trump previously saying he would restart the war against Iran if a U.S. soldier was killed.
If they kill U.S. troops, I think I would do that very quickly.
And now we're learning more about other Iranian regime attacks in the Strait of Hormuz. A U.S. official telling NBC News Iran has been aggressively launching attack drones towards traffic, including the U.S. military and commercial ships, in the strait for days, the U.S. military shooting most of them down. All as President Trump again overnight touted progress in talks with Iran.
The strait will open up right away. It'll open up immediately upon signing, which could be in 2 or 3 days.
Courtney, let's go back to that drone boat rescue. I know you have new reporting about that mission and what exactly happened.
That's right, Tom. A U.S. official tells us once those U.S. soldiers climbed into the drone boat, it transported them a short distance where a helicopter picked them up, literally hoisted them out of the water, and they were taken ashore to a U.S. medical facility in the region. Tom?
Courtney Kuby with that new reporting. Courtney, we thank you. Back here at home now to the chaotic scene outside of a Texas courthouse. The nation following the trial of 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony. And today a jury finding him guilty of murder for killing another teen at a track meet. Ryan Chandler was with the crowds outside the courthouse as the verdict was read.
Tonight, emotions boiling over outside the courthouse. Protesters in each other's faces, some openly weeping. And for others, relief that justice was served.
You think this is justice for Austin?
I believe so.
As a Texas jury finds 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony guilty of murder for stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet last year.
You will never, ever disrespect a black woman like that.
Numerous witnesses said Anthony instigated the confrontation, the prosecution calling his actions unjustified and intentional, telling the jury, you don't get to meet a shove with a stab, especially if you provoke the shove. In closing arguments Tuesday, the defense again tried to portray Metcalf as the aggressor, that he made physical contact first, and Anthony defended himself in a split second of chaos. What was it like?
What was it like?
When the verdict was read.
I feel like it was designed to protect white people, the system, and it was not designed to protect black people. It's self-defense.
Supporters of Anthony have raised concerns for a fair trial after no black people were seated on the jury. Inside the courtroom, tears from both families. Anthony's mother described as weeping, later asking the court to please have mercy on my son.
And Ryan Chandler joins us tonight live outside the courthouse. Ryan, do we know anything about the sentencing?
Well, Tom, we can tell you that Anthony was in tears as the jury left to decide his fate. He faces up to 99 years in prison, though his defense is asking the jury to consider a sudden passion provision that could limit that window to just 2 to 20 years. For the prosecution's part, they are asking for a lengthy prison sentence, telling the jury nothing you do will take more from Karmelo Anthony and his family than he took from the Metcalfs. Tom.
Ryan Chandler covering that trial from the get-go. Ryan, we thank you. We're also tracking tonight the millions of Americans now in the path of severe storms, including the threat of tornadoes. It comes after flash flooding slammed parts of the country earlier today. Here's Maggie Vespa.
Tonight, chilling new video of a truck turned on its side by flash floodwaters in southern Indiana. Watch as the driver tumbles out of the vehicle into the rushing water.
One just jumped out.
And look at this, what appears to be a propane tank spewing gas as it's swept away. Rescue boats deployed as residents race to evacuate. The deluge swallowing trucks and tractors and leaving this baseball field totally submerged.
We've lived here 25 years. Never seen it like this.
A powerful system tearing through Kansas overnight, bringing hurricane-force winds with gusts topping 100 miles per hour. One driver miraculously uninjured after she was blown off the highway. High winds in New Mexico whipping up walls of dust, blinding drivers. While back east, the flood threat isn't over as more storms slam the region.
We're scared. We're nervous, but we got to clean up now and hope it doesn't come back.
Maggie Vespa, NBC News.
And we have rare video tonight showing a shark attack playing out in real time. This one off the coast of Florida. The man fighting off the shark and now in the hospital, fighting for his life. Steve Patterson with that video tonight.
Tonight, the violent shark attack caught on camera. A man spotted fighting for his life, blood in the water, and harrowing pleas for help. It happened at a naval facility in Panama City Monday morning.
Shark attack out at the Navy base.
Authorities say 2 staff members went for a swim in the nearby recreational marina when the shark struck, attacking one of the men, severely injuring both of his arms.
Have you got the person out of the water? No, the person I think is still in the water.
First responders rushing the man to a local hospital. A naval commander saying their actions were critical.
We continue to have the safety of all our personnel paramount in all of the operations that we do on board the base.
Look at it. Oh my gosh.
The attack comes during a string of similar shark sightings.
Oh my gosh.
From a nature trail in Brooklyn
Wow, that's sick.
to a fisherman hooking a great white in Nantucket.
Yeah.
Tonight, authorities say that naval staff member in Florida is now recovering from surgery. Steve Patterson, NBC News.
We're also watching a key election tonight that could determine whether Democrats can retake the Senate this November. Maine Democrat Graham Plattner is poised to win tonight's primary, even as he faces a series of scandals. Ryan Nobles is in Maine for us.
Tonight, the major test for Graham Plattner. Will his scandals dampen Democrats' desire to nominate him to take on Republican Susan Collins in the high-stakes Maine Senate race?
The reason they keep getting everything wrong is they think this is a race about me, but it isn't. This is a race about us.
The Marine vet turned oyster farmer has tapped into a wave of progressive support, but also faces several controversies, including past social media posts where he blamed victims for sexual assault, his tattoo resembling a Nazi SS symbol, which he says he did not know the meaning of and covered up after the backlash, and accusations from a trio of former girlfriends to the New York Times that described his behavior as toxic and unsettling. One saying he twisted her arm behind her back and shoved her into a bedroom.
There are some allegations in this piece that I just want to be kind of unequivocal about are simply not true.
Collins going after Plattner today.
The allegations against Graham Plattner are extremely troubling and serious.
Some Maine Democrats telling us they do have concerns.
Some of the latest things that have come out about him being a woman make me somewhat concerned about his feelings about equality of women.
But most we spoke to remain willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I think he represents the working class.
Do you think what he could bring to the table outweighs any concerns you have in that regard?
I think so. I mean, he seems like a really down-to-earth guy. You know, it's just like, I hate saying this, but sometimes I feel like it's the lesser of two evils.
And Ryan, walk our viewers through this. That Maine seat is so critical for Democrats' hopes of winning back the Senate.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. This year's Senate map favors Republicans, so they need every pickup opportunity they can get. And Maine is a key part of their plan to take back the majority, especially with Susan Collins, the incumbent, a Republican representing a blue state. Tom?
Ryan Nobles on the campaign trail once again. When we return in 60 seconds, our series, The Cost of Denial. The family that went more than $1 million into debt to get their daughter life-saving treatment. Plus, the new sunscreen just approved by the FDA. Americans have been demanding it for years when you can finally get it. And the body cam just in, a suspect fleeing police jumps into a swamp. That splashing is him swimming away. We'll show you the alligator attack that ended the chase. Stay with us. We're back now with our series, The Cost of Denial, where we investigate the challenges people face with insurance. Tonight, one family's desperate struggle to keep their daughter alive and how it put them more than $1 million in debt. Here's Kate Snow.
Candy Lavasser is a nurse, her husband Larry a retired state trooper. They say they had to make a choice, go into massive debt, or their 24-year-old daughter Rachel would die.
I've seen a lot in almost 40 years of emergency work, and to see your own daughter in front of you in such a bad position is brutal, absolutely brutal.
This is Rachel's room.
Candy showed us her daughter's bedroom. Rachel has autism and a complex form of obsessive-compulsive disorder that convinces her she's contaminated, could infect others, and needs to die.
Look at this one. It's okay if all you did today was survive.
Yes.
Rachel has attempted suicide numerous times, her entire family fighting to save her, including Sister Ellie.
I just miss my sister.
For years, the family says their insurance covered in-network therapists, psychiatrists, and 3 residential facilities.
Hi, Rachel. This is Kate.
Over the phone, Rachel told us why she left the 3rd facility.
The therapist there had basically, just given up on me. And she had told me that I, wasn't getting better there and they couldn't do anything else to help me.
I mean, we were just lost.
Do you start to feel desperate?
We are desperate,
We
yes.
are.
Then they discovered a program within Shepherd Pratt Hospital right in their home state of Maryland. Like many mental health providers, the program doesn't participate with any health insurance, even though the broader hospital does.
We have a co-insurance.
The Lavassers say when they called their insurance company, several representatives gave them hope the stay might be covered.
They said, well, if you all can prove that Rachel is getting care that she can't get anywhere else, then we would tend to cover that.
To get her in, we took out a second mortgage on our house.
On your house?
Yes.
That paid for Rachel's initial $60,000 20-day stay.
This was what we were searching for.
That's Rachel?
Yeah.
The specialized care, her parents say, finally started turning Rachel's life around. They kept her there for a little over a year. Now they owe about $1.3 million.
Did you keep her in the program despite the huge bills because you thought it was saving her life?
Oh,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely.
It did save her life, yes.
I mean,
Yes, no doubt about it.
how do you put a price on your daughter's life?
This is insurance records.
Their insurance agreed to reimburse a small portion of the facility's cost, but despite several appeals, not nearly as much as they'd hoped. Now the hospital is asking for payment. This is the Sheppard Pratt campus in Towson, Maryland. We reached out and they said they don't comment on patient care, even though Rachel signed an authorization form allowing Sheppard Pratt to talk about her health information with NBC News. Rachel remains hospitalized, the family desperate for her treatment to continue, treatment they know they can't afford, but believe Rachel can't live without.
What's your perspective on the way our mental health care system is designed?
It's a mess. And it has been one of the most frustrating and disheartening things that we've ever dealt with.
And with that, Kate Snow joins us now live in studio. Kate, you feel for those parents, now more than $1 million in debt. What happens next to them?
Yeah, Tom, in an email, a top executive at Sheppard Pratt, the hospital, told the family they would be willing to enter into a one-time deal with their insurance company to cover that specialized treatment. But the family hasn't heard any updates on that in several weeks, Tom.
All right, Kate Snow for us working this one. Kate, we thank you. We're going to be back in a moment here on Nightly News. A massive recall. Why Jeep is warning 1 million car owners not to park their cars inside. Plus, the new sunscreen that could be a game changer at the beach. We'll explain why. That's next. We're back now with that massive Jeep recall. Today, the manufacturer Stellantis announcing it's pulling back more than 1 million SUVs and trucks over concerns they could spontaneously catch fire. The company warning owners of some Jeep Wranglers and Jeep Gladiators made between 2021 to 2025 to park away from buildings and other vehicles until that issue is resolved. Also today, the FDA greenlighting a new sunscreen ingredient, the first in 2 decades. It's already very popular in Europe and some Asian countries, and this time of year, American tourists love bringing it back to the States. The reason why? It's the first chemical in the U.S. to block both types of UV rays that cause aging and sunburn. It's expected to be available here by the end of the year. And in Louisiana, the chase for a DUI suspect takes an unexpected turn when he runs into a swamp. You see that splashing there? That's the suspect trying to swim away, but watch the right side of your screen. That other splashing is an alligator chasing after him and finally attacking him. Police say he was arrested as he was climbing out of the swamp with injuries to both arms. Crazy. All right, that's Nightly News for this Tuesday. I'm Tom Llamas. We thank you so much for watching. Tonight and always, we're here for you. Good night. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.